Good morning, friends. Welcome to the basement here at Mark Kelly Farm. We have a project we need to do down here because spring is coming up and we're going to be starting seeds down here fairly soon. So this project needs to get done before then. So stick around and hang out with me and we'll get this done. So we've got our growing bench down here, this area that we start seeds in early before we go out into the greenhouse. And we don't have any power over here for any of our lights or anything. We've been working on extension cords. And the problem with that, we're running on the same circuit as everything else down here, the refrigerators and a lot of stuff like that. So we want to get this on a different circuit so we can eliminate these extension cords. And we're not over amping this circuit that the refrigerators are on, because that's pretty important that those refrigerators don't go down, because if you remember, this freezer here is absolutely full of meat and stuff, so we don't want that happening. So we're going to add a couple outlet boxes. We've had all this stuff for quite some time, almost a year probably, but I've been meaning to get down here to do it, and there's no better time like the present. So our breaker panel's way down there, just like we did when we added a circuit for the freeze dryer. We got to come from the breaker panel down to here. So I think I'm going to go ahead and run the Romex up here through some existing holes we have, and we can get that portion done. I'm going to kind of start here and work my way back. So the last thing that we do is shut down the power and make our connection down there. Okay, we've got our Romex ran through some existing holes here. We've got it all the way down, and then we've got a loop here at the breaker box that we can dive in there with. We've got plenty of wire. So now we need to work our way across to the wall there. We've got a junction box that we're going to put up there to do our connections in, because everything below that sill up there is going to be in conduit. So we'll get it over there. We'll get the junction box mounted and get it routed into the junction box. Okay, we're prepped and ready up there for our junction box. I had to knock a hole out of the bottom and a hole out of the side. This will be our wire coming in. We'll use one of our cable clamps in that hole. And then in the bottom hole, this pre-routed metal Romex that just pops in the hole. Okay, our junction box is mounted. So now we need to measure how long our metal conduit needs to be. These are adjustable. You can screw the ends out of these, cut your metal. You got to pull the wire out, of course, first. Cut your metal to whatever length you want, then this screws back in, and then you can shove your wire back through. Okay, we've got our conduit cut the length, put back together, wire ran through it. We have it plugged into the bottom of the box. So now we just need to shorten our Romex there, make those connections, and then we can put this cover on that box. Now when wiring 120 volt here, you're just putting the light colors wires together. So white to white, black to black. And in this case, copper to green. Sometimes it's going to be copper to copper or green to green, depending on what your wires are doing. So we just wrap those up into the box, put our cover on. Okay, there we go, all buttoned up. So now I'm going to punch the center hole out of my box. We'll clip it on our conduit, figure out where it goes on the wall, and we'll drill our fastener holes. We have to use the expanding fasteners in this cinder block. Got our wall anchor kit here. It comes with the masonry bits as well. So you just pick the right bit for the right anchor. We're going to use these big ones because they got the big heads that won't pull through the box. Got our anchors in the wall. Now we just got to screw our box in. Okay, we got our box mounted, and then we also added a hold down up here for the conduit. So now we'll locate our next box over here. We'll get our conduit run, get the box fastened to the wall. and then we can start wiring up our outlets. Okay, we're all mounted up. Got our wires ready to go. Now, because we have to run through this box, we're going to have to put jumper wires from this outlet to this outlet, and then the wire will come off of here and go to the next outlet. Now, you could do 2 circuits in this same outlet. Say you ran 2 sets of wires into this box because you're running something with a heavy load and you wanted to put 2 breakers over in the box. See these little tabs right here between the 2 screws? You'd stick a screwdriver in there and you break that tab off, and then each one of these plugs would be on a different circuit. Right now they're tied together, so both of these will run off the same wire. In fact, all 4 of these outlets will run off the same wire. But yeah, I just got to jump across from here to the other one and here to the other one, and then the grounds, of course. Okay, there's our jumper wires. So our incoming line will go to this one, our outgoing line will go to these 2 here. Now, your black wire always goes to the copper colored screws. Your white wire, or your common, goes to the silver colored screws. And then of course your ground wire goes to here. We're going to have to jump a ground wire also. I wish they would put 2 lugs for ground wires on these things, would make it really handy, but the way they have it, you have to loop 2 wires around that little screw. Not the easiest thing to do. Another thing you can do with your grounds is just run them all to this little grounding lug here. There's no screw in there, but there's a screw that goes in that, because your outlets, because they're metal here, will ground to that metal box and it'll complete that connection. Now, instead of using a wire nut, I don't like using them with 3 wires because 1 wire always wants to pull out. I use a crimp sleeve, which is what these are. You just put all the wires in there and crimp it really tight, and then none of the wires are going to come out. Now, it doesn't matter if this connects or touches the metal box because it's a ground. It's fine. So now we'll just poke the rest of these wires in here and shove the outlets in. That's what it looks like all wired up. So let's push the wires in the box. Now, when I do wiring, I like to buy these extra large boxes because there's more room for wires in them. But if you're going to use it for outlets or something like that, or switches, you have to get the adapter plate to go in here, because these switches don't go to these like they do in a normal box. So that's why you got to have that, and then your regular plate goes right over that. Okay, 1 complete. Just got to do 1 more. Got our ground clamp or a ground wire grounded to the box, so we just got to put our adapter plate on, throw our outlets in there. Now, one thing I didn't tell you, once you get your wires and your outlets, you need to give them all a real good firm tug to make sure that they're not going to come out. Well, that's a pretty clean installation right there, if I do say so myself. So all we got left is our breaker. So let's go drop that in, and then this will be done, and Kelly will be a happy girl. So once we get into that box and throw the main switch, it's going to get real dark down here. Brought our Ogre camp light. Remember that? Use it for a lot more than just camping. I can leave a link for that in the description as well. Okay, we're in the box. We threw our main breaker right here, which shut the whole house down. And it's also going to shut down these bus bars that we're going to be working on. You're okay to work in the box as long as you stay away from these 2 leads right here, because that's your 2 legs of 110. That's 220 volts coming into your house, 100 amps. So stay away from those 2. If you are not comfortable doing this, and if you are an amateur, I recommend just go throw the main box outside on the panel, so you don't have to worry about this. But we're going to be working up over here. We're going to punch out one of the holes up top, put us a little cable holder, get our wire down in here, and get this thing taken care of. All right, we've got our wire run into the top through one of the wire clamps. We need to run our bare wires. I've stripped the wire out, so we've down to the bare wires. Our white and our bare copper got to go down to the grounding bar over here on this side. It's just like this, but it's over there. I didn't come down this side because I don't want to be anywhere near those two hot leads coming in. So over there I can work safely. And then our black wire is going to go in our new breaker right above that one on that side once we get it popped in there. Okay, we got our new breaker in. We've got our black wire connected to the breaker. We've got our white and our copper onto the grounding lug there, the strip. So next thing I need to do is we need to get the breaker panel and pop out a hole for the new breaker. Okay, got our cover back on, moment of truth. Let's throw our main breaker back on. Okay, everything came back on here in the house. So now we're going to throw our new breaker, make sure we don't pop it or have any fireworks. Came on just fine. Need to label our new one for what it is there. All right, we're going to give our new outlets a try. Works just fine. Perfect. Now we can get rid of these extension cords. We're not going to have a bunch of power strips and all kinds of fire hazard down here. It's going to be real nice. Always a good idea to mark your breakers so you know what everything is. Okay, glad to get this project done. Now Kelly can plug in all of her propagation mats and all that, and it's gonna be sweet down here. Now, if you remember the last time we did electricity down here when we ran a new circuit for the freeze dryer, you remember my little trick about starting the breaker connection about 15 minutes before noon. That way I was done by noon, and right straight up noon I could turn the power back on. That way you don't have to reset all of your clocks in the house. So couldn't do that today because it's too late in the afternoon and I didn't want to wait till tomorrow. Been needing to get this project done for a while. I'm glad it's done. Happy wife, happy life, right? Kelly's gonna love this project being done. So I hope you enjoyed the video and I hope you learned something, because we probably saved maybe $300 to $500 by doing this ourselves. It's not a difficult job. Any amateur I think can do it. Just be real careful in that panel. Like I said, if you're not comfortable doing it, don't put yourself in danger. Call a pro, or at least ask a pro, or do some research so you know what you're doing, okay? I don't want anybody getting hurt. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. Love you guys. We'll see you next time here on Mark Kelly Farm.